Hello, my name is Britt Jackson, and this is my final presentation. So, as you can see on the screen here, my topic is The Platform, a Sociological Analysis. So, this movie, it can be found on Netflix. It is originally a Spanish movie, and it is sort of like a thriller type movie. So, let's get started. So first, I'm going to start off with a film synopsis. So on Netflix, the summary for this film is: a slab of food descends floor by floor in a prison. The inmates above eat heartily, leaving those below starving and desperate. A rebellion is imminent. All right, and so here I kind of put a summary of the movie in my own words so that you guys can understand what this movie is about and the things that go on in it. So the film, it takes place in a prison-like setting, and this prison, it can be seen as sort of like survival game, um, because the prisoners are able to survive each month in different levels. Usually, some of the players will receive something in return for that. So the prisoners, they're placed on various levels monthly, and the levels reflect how much food they'll receive for the month. After 1 month on a level, prisoners are drugged via gas, and while they're passed out, the prisoners are moved to a new level, and they don't know which level they're on until they wake up from the gas. So that definitely causes some anxiety for the prisoners. The way that the prisoners receive food, so basically food comes down daily on an elevator system. It's like an elevator-like system, and it passes through each of the platforms. And the platforms are in numerical order, so platform 1 would receive no leftovers from previous platforms, but higher numbered levels or platforms, like say, like for example, platform 151 would receive only the leftover food that the lower number levels did not eat. So food is not like replenished as the elevator like system thing comes down. Instead, it's just the people up above take what they want, and then it goes down until essentially there's just no food left for the lower levels. Um, so yeah, as it goes down, the amount of food available for each platform also goes down, which leaves the individuals at the bottom with no food and having to fight for their own lives by doing unimaginable things. So in terms of survival, ideally you would want to be placed in a lower numbered level so that you can receive enough food to survive. Right, so my thesis for my essay, it mainly, the essay is going to focus on the conflict theory and symbolism in the movie in relation to real life. But my thesis, introduction, basically, the platform is set in a prison where different levels depict the abundance of food an individual receives daily and monthly. Lower number levels imply increased food opportunities, and higher number levels imply decreased food opportunities. The quantity of food each person has access to on varying levels can explicitly correspond to inequalities in real life affairs. In real life, individuals that hold higher social statuses are inclined to have less concerns for surviving and having access to the things that they need to survive. And when they're compared to individuals holding the lower social statuses, these people with lower social statuses, they sort of experience some struggle and inequalities. But this film, in correlation to real life situations, it's obvious how the prison can symbolize social or economic statuses as well as opportunities and obstacles within these varying statuses. In this film, individuals in the lower numbered levels do not have to worry about dying from starvation. Due to the unequal distribution of goods, individuals in higher numbered levels of the prison experience inequality as a consequence of their level placement in the prison, which is not able to be manipulated. Which is sort of similar to like real life, because typically social statuses and sometimes economic statuses, they're not able to be manipulated. Oftentimes people are born into their situations. But the conflict theory, it can be used to better understand this film sociologically and in relation to the real world through symbolism. Alright, so I'm gonna do a brief on the conflict theory, a brief explanation. So Karl Marx, the gentleman pictured here, he is the one who contributed this theory to sociology. The conflict theory, it states that society or an organization operates in a manner where each individual as well as its groups aim to maximize their advantages, which unavoidably contributes to progressive transformations in society such as political developments and revolutions. And class, according to Marx, class is seen as a reference to social and economic groups constructed by an extensive collection composed of standards whose connections are composed of what Marx observes in society through analysis. Right, so applying the conflict theory to this movie, I kind of dissected the conflict theory. So in the conflict theory, there's competition among groups. The groups in this movie are the prison levels or platforms within society. The society can be represented as the prison. Due to limited resources, the limited resources in this movie is food. The struggle is inadequate access to food among groups, the prison platforms or levels, and maintains inequality. The inequality in this movie is equal food distribution over the ruling class. So the ruling class in this movie would be the lower numbered levels, which do not struggle, which the struggle is adequate access to food, having adequate access to food. So the conflict theory is very relevant in this film because the film essentially symbolizes capitalism and the struggles of different groups of individuals regarding their levels. Just like the conflict theory, there is competition between the various levels of the prison due to limited resources, in this case food. Because of the limited resources to specific levels, inequality occurs within these select levels of the prisons, and individuals placed on lower numbered levels do not experience the same struggles as others in the prison. So because of conflict, there can be consequences. So conflict creates consequences, which can be divided into 5 points as follows. Stronger sense of group solidarity, destruction of group unity, changes in individual personality, destruction of existing social values and norms, loss of property, and fall of human sacrifice. And we can take 5 of those points of how conflict creates consequences, and we can see these in various scenes that are in this film. So in this movie, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, I forgot, but I'm just going to say it's Garange. Okay, so there was a scene between Garange and Imagiri. So Imagiri was trying to find a solution, so she told the people who were below, on the lower level, please only eat the portions that I've prepared for you. They have all the nutrients you need. Please prepare 2 similar dishes for the people beneath you. So she tried to encourage the individuals to ration out the food, however, she was mocked and laughed at. So that's where Garange came into play and used his, essentially it was like a higher social status, but in the film it was just him being on a higher platform. He used that to threaten the individuals below them to do as she had told them regarding rationing out the food by saying he will defecate all over the food until there isn't a single grain untouched. So I found some interesting symbolism in the platform that I'm going to be talking about throughout my essay. So the platform can be seen to symbolize various social or economic classes in society. The hole itself and procedures regarding distribution of food throughout the prison, it can symbolize capitalism. Comparing this to real life, prisoners were not able to choose their levels. Individuals in society are not able to choose their social or economic classes that they're born into, and in order to make a change, hard work and determination must occur. So the hole is the middle of the platforms, and it can be seen as a barrier, but it can also be seen as an opportunity. And it can sort of symbolize market capitalism. The prisoners are forced to see the hole every day, which can be viewed as a gesture that Moving up, it's possible, but only when hard work happens. Uh, but the opportunities to do that hard work in the film, it's not available. One of the players brought a rope in order to attempt to get some opportunities to move up, but yeah, just like in real life, it's not, these opportunities are not always available. But adaptation is a skill that humans learn throughout their lifetime. When opportunities aren't available to move up, we must adapt in order to survive, which we see this throughout the movie. So another piece of symbolism in this film. So there's 333 levels, 2 individuals, each level that's 666 individuals total. And 666 is associated with Satan and could symbolize sort of an unethical personality of the person who created the whole thing. And because this whole film is sort of like a symbol, like it symbolizes capitalism, we can see that because there are 666 players, that capitalism could essentially symbolize, or not symbolize, but it can be considered as hell. So some notable quotes. So there are 3 kinds of people, the ones above, the ones below, and the ones who fall. I think this quote is good at explaining like some social classes, economic classes in society. We don't know where we'll be tomorrow. I thought that one was a good quote. And then if everyone ate only what they needed, the food would reach the lowest levels, which before going into the platform, everyone was asked what their favorite meal was, and that one meal was put on the platform. So if everyone just had eaten their favorite meal that they had told the person bringing them into the platform, the prison, if they only ate that one meal, then everyone would have a meal. So in conclusion, this movie, it's not your typical horror movie full of scary paranormal murder. Well, it's got some of that in it, but it's not your typical horror movie. But it represents possibly one of the most terrifying things that is in society, which is capitalism. In order to comprehend the meaning of this film from a more sociological perspective, the conflict theory is a great method to use. Because the whole film itself, it symbolizes capitalism, which is pretty relevant when comparing to the conflict theory, and it possesses most of the same concepts that the conflict theory lists. Also, some individuals have seen the symbolization in this film being about the struggles inside of the working class rather than the differences between upper and lower social and economic classes. So I'm curious to know what your takes are about what this movie overall is all about. Right? And that is my references. Thank you so much. Have a great day.